fire crews are spread out across this area. South Carolina officials say fortunately no one has been injured, and while structures have been damaged, none have been fully destroyed. Thankfully, the winds are expected to die down as we head into the week. Rachel.
That will be some much needed relief. All right, Stephanie, thank you. And as you said, the winds are dying down in the south, but now all eyes are now turning to a powerful cross-country storm sweeping the east. Meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our station WABC here in New York joins us. Danny, time this one out for us.
Rachel, this next storm system has the potential to bring high-impact weather from coast to coast over the course of several days this week. I mean, just look at all the alerts already posted, stretching from California to the Gulf Coast. So timing this out into Monday, the heavy snow and strong wind could bring whiteout conditions to Colorado and Nebraska. Then critical fire danger focuses in on cities like Albuquerque and El Paso, where wind can fuel new, fast-moving wildfires. The severe thunderstorm threat really ramps up into Tuesday with damaging wind gusts, hail, tornadoes, all possible from Texas to Alabama. And in New Orleans, it's not just those storms, but strong damaging wind gusts throughout the day. That could impact Mardi Gras festivities into Tuesday night. Anyone in the danger zone, Rachel, needs to keep a really close eye on the forecast.
Danny, thank you. We turn overseas today. World leaders gathering in London to show support for Ukraine after that dramatic meeting in the Oval Office. President Zelensky joined NATO and EU representatives. The British Prime Minister calling this a once-in-a-generation moment for the region. Zelensky later meeting with King Charles. ABC's foreign correspondent Tom Sophie Burge is in London.
Tonight, European leaders alongside Ukrainian President Zelensky gathering in London for a high-stakes emergency summit on Ukraine.
Can you patch things up with Donald Trump?
The US notably absent following Zelensky's fiery Oval Office meeting with President Trump and Vice President Vance Friday.
You're gambling with World War III.
The UK and France front and centre, agreeing to negotiate a peace proposal that would include the deployment of troops and planes to Ukraine to police a potential ceasefire. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying the US needs to somehow back the plan to prevent Russia from re-attacking Ukraine.
Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing.
Well, Ukrainian President Zelensky is now leaving the summit amid questions about whether he can rebuild his relationship with Donald Trump. For now, though, Zelensky is off to meet the king.
It was all smiles and handshakes when Zelensky met with King Charles. But in Washington, a different tune. Today, House Speaker Mike Johnson saying Zelensky must change or resign.
Well, something has to change. Either he needs to come to his senses and come back to the table in gratitude, or someone else needs to lead the country to do that.
And Rachel, I asked the head of NATO today whether the US will commit to future security guarantees for Ukraine. He said that key conversation is still ongoing. Rachel?
Yeah, so some big questions there. Tom, thank you. Staying overseas, Israel has stopped the flow of all supplies into Gaza, including much-needed aid. The border crossing between Israel and the Gaza Strip all but deserted. And tonight, Israel warning of more consequences if Hamas does not accept a new deal extending the ceasefire. Here's ABC's Inez de la Catera.
In an attempt to pressure Hamas to accept a new U.S. proposal to extend phase 1 of the ceasefire that expired just 24 hours ago, tonight Israel says they've halted the entry of all goods into Gaza. Rows of trucks with desperately needed humanitarian supplies and fuel now blocked at Egypt's Rafah border crossing. Israel says the decision has President Trump's backing, Hamas calling it cheap blackmail on this second day of Ramadan. Hamas rejecting the U.S. deal, instead pushing for phase 2 to get underway, as initially negotiated 6 weeks ago. Phase 2 would see the release of all living hostages in exchange for the full withdrawal of all IDF troops from Gaza, which Israel has yet to commit to.
We were supposed to be hearing all about the second phase, and now Israel and Hamas and the mediators are planning to bring all the hostages back.
Without elaborating, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying if Hamas continue to refuse, there will be consequences, threatening to resume the war if negotiations are ineffective. As Palestinians in Rafah gathered amid the ruins to share a fast-breaking meal, millions having just returned home, now unsure of what comes next.
And Rachel, Israel believes there are still 24 living hostages in Gaza, including American Idon Alexander. Their fate and the fate of 2 million Palestinians now hanging in the balance. Rachel?
Inez, thank you. And back here at home, more than 2 million federal workers have until tomorrow to reply to another email instructing them to list 5 things they accomplished in the last week. And tonight we're learning the Department of Education is offering employees thousands of dollars to leave their jobs now ahead of layoffs. ABC News' senior White House correspondent Selena Wang has the latest.
Tonight, another looming deadline for federal workers as agencies prepare plans for large-scale layoffs.